Firman family.
Good morning.
Got Megan with me today. Look, I think we wore the same shirt.
You
Nice.
did. You didn't even plan it.
uh, Today, if you haven't guessed by looking at the screen, we're going to talk about wattage and how to select a generator, how to figure out what you need to buy based on what you're going to run, and then also talk about fuel sources and the reason that maybe you need a generator and how all that impacts your purchase decision. So we have a lot of resources available through our website that will help you make this decision, and we want to point you to those as well. I think the one that I want to get started with is a blog. If you're not familiar, I'll show you how to get there on our website. So this is our homepage. Once again, there's Tristan, one of our technicians. Yeah, looking handsome as always. So go to support, go to blog, and then in the blog, you're going to find a whole bunch of blog posts. And we're going to keep hitting load more until we find, let's see here, what gen do I need? What generator do I need? Did you write this one?
I did not.
I think Coralie might have written this one. So this is a great blog. Coralie wrote all about what kind of generator you need to buy based on what you're going to run and the situation and the conditions. And you can see here she's got some great information. She talks about finding the right generator for your needs. Have you lived through a natural disaster? You've been out of power for days or weeks and seen your resources going to waste? Do you have a lively outdoor life? So some people are using generators in a power outage to keep their refrigerator on, their freezer on, and maybe air conditioning and heat. Or you might be using a generator for fun. You're using it outdoors. You have a cabin in the woods, or you're enjoying homemade projects. You're using it around the house for working on projects. I know a lot of people that have bigger pieces of property. Not so common here in the city, but out in rural areas, a lot of people have bigger pieces of property, and they want to use all their electric tools and things like that, and they want to use them out far, further away from a building where they need to. Maybe a lot of people now have electric chainsaws or electric pumps or all those kind of things, and so having a generator can be really important. So whether it's work, play, or storm, she says Firman consistently makes sure to provide the highest quality equipment for you and your family on your journey. So what do I need power for? So she has some tips here. This is going to help you decide wattage and runtime. Determine the devices you need to run simultaneously, recording the running and starting watts of all devices. So a lot of things that you purchase, you might even be able to look at the item on the website before you buy it. So let's say you're buying a refrigerator, you can look up the refrigerator online, find out what the wattage draw is. Sometimes they won't have wattage draw, and she mentions that here. If you want to find watts, but let's say you're looking at something and it doesn't tell you what the watts are.
Yes.
Maybe it just tells you amps.
Yeah.
So it might say it's 10 amps.
Okay.
So the way to find the wattage is to multiply amps times volts.
Okay.
So if you have a 120 volt refrigerator, anything that plugs in your house is going to be 120 volts,
okay.
except for like a dryer or a range. Those will be 240 volts. Or a central air conditioner, also 240 volts. But everything else in your house should be 120.
Okay.
So if you multiplied 10 amps times 120 volts, you'd get 1,200 watts.
Okay. So it tells you.
Yeah. So you start adding that stuff up. So maybe you have a 1,200 watt refrigerator, and maybe you've got a 1,500 watt space heater. So now we're up to 2,700 watts, and maybe another 300 watts for a laptop, let's say. So now we're at 3,000 watts, and you're going to add the running watts of all the appliances selected and record that number as your total running watts. And then you identify the device with the highest additional starting watts, and we'll talk about starting watts in a minute, and record that number. Make sure the total running watts of all devices plus the highest starting watts combined will fit your generator requirements. So there is a wattage chart. It's at this link, and I've got it open.
Yeah. And you're not going to be running all these appliances at the same time, so that's something to keep in mind too. A lot of people,
Right.
at least a lot of people who aren't savvy with this would assume, how am I going to run everything in my house? Well, you typically typically don't run it all at the same time. So think
Sure.
of plug in consistently, and then
That's a great point. Yeah, it's a really good point. So this wattage chart is linked to that blog, um, and you can see that these are kind of just some generalizations, based on things that you might run on a regular basis. Some bigger things: an air compressor, electric water heater. It's 4,000 watts running. This is running watts and then starting watts over on the right. A refrigerator, anything with a compressor, so a refrigerator, an air conditioner, where it's compressing freon to make cold air,
okay,
they're going to need a kind of a burst of energy when they first start up. So anything with a compressor, also anything with an electric motor. So this water well pump, it only uses 1,250 watts running, but for just a split second, it needs 3,750 watts.
which is so important to know.
Oh yeah, it's really important, and that's why if you're looking at our generators, let's say you're looking at one of our 8,000 watt generators. So, for example, maybe our tri-fuel 8,000 watt. So this generator has 10,000 starting watts, but 8,000 running watts. So if we look back at our wattage chart, we know that the running watts or the starting watts make a big difference. With 8,000 running watts, you might go, well, gosh, I can run a lot of things. I can run my electric water heater, that's 4,000 watts, and my refrigerator, now we're up to 5,000 watts, and my hammer drill, because I need that every day in a
Yeah,
power
of
outage.
course. You're going to be building.
Right, we're at 6,000 watts, and you can add up all the way, get up to 8,000 watts, but you also have to take a look at starting watts.
Yes.
Because now we've got, even though we have 8,000 running watts, we have 10,000 starting watts, so I'm at 6,700. Oh, but my hammer drill's 3,000 watts starting. So if I'm running all those things simultaneously, I could have a problem, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now let's say a little more conservatively. Most people don't need all these high wattage things to be running all at the same time.
Yeah.
In a power outage, you really just need some smaller things like maybe I'm going to run the refrigerator. That's 1,000 watts, and I'm going to run my cell phone charger. That's only 25 watts, and light bulbs. So this says for a 60 watt. Oh, we have a typo. Light bulb. Uh, we can fix that. But keep in mind too that you could probably turn on a lot of lights in your house because most of us now have LED or compact fluorescent light bulbs. I know the LEDs in my house. I think most of them only take like 8 watts or 10 watts.
Okay.
So they really don't draw very much power at all. So you could really turn on a lot of lights.
And you don't have to worry so much about those starting ones because it looks as though those are nothing.
Yeah, the starting watts don't apply, unless
they're
it's
higher up, yeah.
and even this little inflator pump. This is a kind of a little inflator pump that you might use to inflate an air mattress or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Uses 50 watts when it's running, but because it has a small electric motor, it uses 150 watts starting. But you can see a lot of these things, a TV and a computer, they don't really use a lot of power, and most of those things don't have starting watts applying to them either.
But a few of those bigger ones are good to know. So this is a really good resource.
Yeah.
And
So,
I like that it kind of tells you where you fall in the range too. Like,
hmm yeah, exactly. So once you've figured all this stuff out, then you can, and I would say jot this down on a piece of paper, or if you're tech savvy, put it in an Excel spreadsheet and know in advance.
Absolutely. For sure. Like it's something a lot of people you don't want to have to be trying to run to the store to get this, at the day of an emergency, or
Absolutely.
you never know. Severe weather is coming around.
Yeah. When the storm's bearing down, that's not the time to
You
be
just wanna
doing
have
this
it.
math.
Yeah, you want to have it, and you want to always know. So it's good what you said. Always kind of make sure you know what you generally run and what's most important. Bring it back to your mind. So if you're out and you find a generator, a Firman generator,
Of course.
and you find one that meets your needs. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you might make your list and say, okay, in a power outage, the things that are really important to me are going to be my refrigerator, that's 1,000 watts, and my cell phones, and maybe I want to charge 4 of those simultaneously. That's only 100 watts, and the TV and the router and the modem, so I can keep my internet on, and so add all those things up, and then you might say, okay, well, I'm at 5,000 watts running, and 6,000 watts starting. So I can go. I'm going to go to Lowe's. I'm going to buy one of our 6,700 watt, generators,
Yep.
and know that I've got plenty of power. 6,700 running watts,
Absolutely.
7125, no, 80, 8,400,
I
yeah,
love that you can reel these
8250,
off.
so
You're
along
much
those
better
lines.
than I am. I actually look them all up to make sure I'm quoting the right one.
But you know that the generator that you buy is gonna have enough power to run all the important things.
Absolutely.
So this is an obvious exercise to go through when you're talking about power outages. You want to be prepared for power outages, but also we talked about using a generator for fun.
Yeah.
Figuring out well, gosh, I've got some lights that I want to use to power a ball field so my kids can play baseball or can play football at night. And so figuring out what the power use for all those lights are, or for camping and RVing as well, that's a really big issue. There's a great picture that I've got right here. So this one shows actually my toy hauler in the background there. This is when we're up in Flagstaff, and we've got two of our 1700 watt inverters here. So the one on the left is our W01781. It has two 120 volt outlets. It has a 12 volt outlet, and then the one on the right is our W01784. It has a 120 volt outlet and it has a 30 amp outlet. But here in the middle, this is what I want to draw your attention to. We've got our parallel kit, and this parallel kit has a 30 amp outlet on it, actually two of them, and we're plugging the toy hauler into these two generators, and the parallel kit combines the power of these two inverter generators. So I've got 1700 watts and 1700 watts, so between the two of those I have 3400 watts.
Yeah,
And
which is awesome.
yeah, and I can get 30 amp power. So that's enough to run everything in my 33-foot toy hauler. So the lights and the water pump, importantly the air conditioner,
Yep.
the blower for the heater,
Yeah.
all those important things. What's neat, I think, about this solution versus maybe using one of our 3,300 watt inverters, which would also power that toy hauler with no problem, is if we're like in this example, we were camping in Flagstaff, so it's 7,500 feet elevation. I probably don't need to run the air conditioner. It's nice outside. We can open the windows. So I might just want to run. I might set it up just like this, but just run one air conditioner, or not run. I'm sorry, just run one generator. And with one generator, I'm charging my batteries. I can run everything except for the air conditioner. And then maybe we have a hot day, and so I fire up the second generator.
Yeah.
But running this way gives you a lot of versatility.
For sure.
Running one of those inverters, I'm only going to burn less than a gallon every 10 hours. So really, really fuel efficient, really, really quiet.
Perfect
So
for camping and making sure you don't want to upset your neighbors when you're camping. That's like a huge deal.
it's a big no-no. You don't want to be that person in the
Yeah.
campground that's making all the noise.
For sure, and it's easy to disconnect and just take one out if you need it, or
Yeah.
if you want to go down to the beach. I know we
Oh, sure.
load things onto our little
Uh-huh.
load things onto our golf cart. You could plug up the speaker and things, and just come back and put it right back to its parallel kit. So
Absolutely.
it's really convenient.
Yeah, again, knowing what the requirement is for what you're going to run is really important when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
If you guys happen to follow Dave Sparks from the Diesel Brothers, last year we went up to Utah. Myself and Matt, our marketing director, went up to Utah and delivered them a whole bunch of generators. Gave them a whole bunch of generators, and they bought the smallest electric car that you can buy on Alibaba, and from China, and had it delivered.
Really?
And it was about the size of a golf cart, but it had doors and a windshield and everything.
That's
And
crazy.
then they crammed about 1,000 pounds of guys into it, and drove around downtown Salt Lake City. The problem is that because it was electric and they were putting a lot of weight in it, it would only go like 10 miles. So
Oh my gosh.
they actually strapped two of these inverters to the roof of that little electric car, and were running them and charging it while they were driving around downtown Salt Lake City. So
I would love to have seen that.
I would encourage you. It's on YouTube.
I'm gonna find it.
It's pretty funny.
I'm gonna find it.
Yeah, and it worked. And I think they also strapped a boombox on there, and they were, it made me think about that because, you were saying with your golf cart.
Yeah, we actually did see someone who had an inverter strapped to their golf cart. We're like, that's genius. Like, you always can bring that where you need it.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can. cure that range anxiety. Yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do with these.
And what's nice is that these are two of the same inverters that put out the same power, except they're built differently and they have different uses. So that's what's kind of awesome about our product.
Yeah, in this case, you could actually accomplish this without the parallel kit. The generator on the right has a 30 amp outlet, and it comes with parallel cables. So you could actually plug your RV or your camper into that 1784 on the right, and accomplish the same solution that way. Some people with bigger RVs where they might have 2 or 3 air conditioners, they might do the same thing, but instead of two 1700 watt inverters, they might use a 1700 watt and a 3300 watt. So then they're at 5,000 watts, they could run 2 air conditioners with 5,000 watt power. Or people with 3 air conditioners, a lot of people that have RVs or campers that need 50 amp power.
Okay.
I know you guys have a big bus size RV,
Cool.
right?
Yeah.
So you could actually connect 2 3300 watt inverters with our 1201 parallel kit and get 50 amps that way.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I think I might even
So
have that open.
So can you plug anything into these? Like any appliance, any electronic, or are there certain ones that you should be plugging in directly, and there are some that you should be protecting?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and I think that question comes down to like clean power.
Yes.
So all of our our Whisper series generators are clean power, so they're less than 3% total harmonic distortion. So you could plug anything into them at all, any
Awesome.
sensitive medical equipment, even anything at all. Our open frame generators, their power is up to 25% total harmonic distortion.
Okay.
So not that clean power, but most everything will be safe to plug into a normal open frame generator. There's a couple of exceptions. Things like uninterruptible power supplies are very finicky about clean power. So there might be 1 or 2 things out there that you wouldn't want to plug into and it won't damage the device. The device might just turn off and not work plugged into an open frame generator.
So what would you do to charge those kinds of devices then? Is there something you plug into this that would make it like that you could plug in between the two?
Yeah, there are power conditioners out there that might be something possible, but
That's bad. It's just like go inside and plug it in the camper.
Yeah.
While it's hooked up. Got it.
Exactly. So this is our 1201 parallel kit, and again, this one actually has a 50 amp outlet, the one in that picture. So with a 50 amp outlet, you can plug an RV directly in. So again, knowing the amount of power that you need is critical before you make your purchase decision. So if you know that you've got an RV or a camper that has a 50 amp outlet, that's going to be the 4-prong outlet, you're going to want to go with a parallel kit and probably 2 of our 3300 watt inverters, something like this. Something like our 3383. This is 3300 watts running, so combined we have 6600 watts if you connect 2 of these with our parallel kit. So that's a lot of information about wattage.
Yeah.
Let's talk about fuel. Coralie says that if you're looking for backup power in case of emergencies, we recommend our dual fuel or tri-fuel generators. They can take up to 8,000 watts, so you'll never be without power. Propane and natural gas generators require less maintenance. You don't have to worry about old gasoline in the tank or gas clogging up the carburetor. What's great about using a dual fuel or a tri-fuel generator is, for sure, obviously, if you have a tri-fuel generator, you can run on natural gas. You're going to be hooked right up to the natural gas supply at your house and just never run out of fuel. That's a spectacular solution. On tri-fuel or dual fuel, though, where you can run on propane, propane typically in a power outage situation, propane is going to be a lot easier to find.
Yeah. And even as Sylvan, we have one of our regular visitors on our live. Hey, Sylvan. He mentioned the gas is just outrageous for him, and I'm sure everyone's feeling it right now. So it's a super great option that you can find easily. And
that's a really great point that you make. The price of propane has gone up quite a bit along with the price of gasoline, but natural gas really has not. So if you're somebody that has natural gas at your home and you've got the ability to run your generator on natural gas because you have a tri-fuel, that's spectacular, and you're going to save a lot of money on fuel costs. We do, by the way, we have a new Firman generator we've had the 8,000 watt and the 7,500 watt tri-fuels for a while, but we have a new 4,000 watt. This is our T04073. So it's 4,000 watts running, 5,000 watts peak. And again, this one runs on gas, propane, and natural gas. It's been really popular already. It does have a 30 amp outlet built right into it. It has two 30 amp outlets, and it comes with an adapter that you can adapt from the twist lock to a TT30, which is the RV plug. So you could technically use this to power your 30 amp camper or RV, but keep in mind it's going to be a little noisier. Where our 3,300 watt inverters run at 58 decibels, this one's going to run at 67. So it's going to be a little noisier, but if you're dry camping, you're out in the woods, you're in the desert, in a place where there's no one else around, maybe you don't care about that.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Yeah.
And I love that we have our seal alert. That's such a big initiative that we're running with here.
Yeah, here, let me zoom in on that. So we have CO alert on this generator, and we're coming out with more and more generators that have CO alert. So basically, again, the generator is sniffing the air all the time. It's looking for a certain number of parts per million of carbon monoxide accumulation. And so if it senses that, it'll just turn itself off and protect the users from carbon monoxide.
And another really great thing, I love that we have all of these starting and running watts for each of the different fuel types on the actual generators, on all of our generators. So you're not having to memorize what those numbers are.
Right.
You'll know what you can run, what you can start things with. So.
It's a common question that we get too about running and starting watts on different fuels. So the potential energy in fuels is measured by BTUs, which stands for British Thermal Units, and there are more BTUs in gasoline than there are in propane, and then again, there's even more BTUs in propane than there are in natural gas. So you can see on the front of this 4,000 watt 4,000 watt generator tri-fuel. If you're running on gasoline, you get 4,000 watts running. If you're running on propane, you get 3,600 watts running. And if you're running on natural gas, you're going to be 3,200 watts. So there's a price to pay for using different fuel sources. However, again, as long as you're doing your math before you make your purchase, you might be perfectly fine, getting 3,200 watts. And 3,200 watts on this generator, that's still going to be enough to get that 30 amp power that you need for your RV or your camper. And it might be plenty of power for you if you're using it for home standby. Let's take a look again at our other bigger tri-fuel. So our 8,000 watt tri-fuel, it's got that same graphic. So we're getting 8,000 watts running on gasoline, 7,250 running watts on propane, and 5,500 watts on natural gas. So just something to be cognizant of, something to make sure that that you're buying the right generator based on what you're going to run. But boy, being able to save a bunch of money on fuel right now is a really big deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And knowing that you can switch if you need more, and it's not like you can't use gas. You can try and use
That's right.
as much,
If only you could run your car on natural gas. They did that for a while years ago. Yeah, they came. I think so. There's some big rigs now that run on compressed natural gas, but I know here in Phoenix, 15, 20 years ago, they tried to do that, and they opened up a couple of stations and converted trucks, a bunch of trucks to compressed natural gas in some vehicles, but it didn't really take off.
Well.
Yeah, it might now though with the price of gas.
You never know.
Yeah.
I'm anxious to see what might be coming out and what people are going to think of.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure eventually we're going to see a picture of somebody with a generator, hanging out of the trunk of their Tesla or something. I did see a picture of somebody on the side of the road with a generator, their Tesla plugged into the generator charging. Yeah, so
it's not bad.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah. So let's see, what else can we learn about what to run? Last question Corley asked us is who will be using the generator? And I think this has to do mostly with the way that you start it. So everything from recoil start to electric start to remote start, and the ease of use goes up. So recoil start is if you remember starting a lawnmower. You've got that pull cord. All of our generators have a recoil start, basically just as backup. But we do sell generators that are recoil only. So their price points usually very attractive. And if you don't mind pulling the recoil start, pretty much all those are going to start on the first or second pull.
Yep.
I know I use one of our 1700 watt inverters a lot, and I can't even think of the last time that thing didn't start on the first pull.
Awesome.
Yeah. But if you want to make it easier, everything above our 1700 watt inverters, we offer electric start. So some of those we have recoil only, but pretty much all of them we have electric start options, and you can start the generator with just a push of a button. Lastly, though, remote start is pretty amazing. If you just have that little key fob, you can start it and stop it from up to 158 feet away.
My favorite.
Yeah, it's pretty great. My favorite too, actually. Yeah, the generator.
Especially we mainly use it for camping, and the end of the night, you're cleaning everything up, you're shutting everything down, and then I get ready, I get right inside, and I realize, didn't shut off the generator. All you have to do is hit that button, and you don't have to worry about going back out, walking all the way out to where your gen's at.
It's so nice.
So convenient.
This is the one that I use for our camper the most, actually. So it's a 3300 watt running. It's a remote start. You can see the little key fob remote right there in the holder. And I keep that little key fob just hanging from a cabinet in our kitchen in our toy hauler. I can get up in the morning and just press that button, and it purrs to life, and I can make my coffee, and
it's nice.
it is so nice.
Not go out and
it's dark, and you don't want to.
Right. Slippers, if that's what you wear outside.
Yes, exactly. I have camper slippers.
Yeah, I have camper slippers.
Yeah. So let's see. Is there anything else? We talked about the wattage chart. We talked about running watts and starting watts. We talked about where to find this stuff on our website. I'll show you that one more time. So you can go to buying guide. Oh, we didn't really talk about the buying guide.
We actually
my
have
gosh.
an entire page that kind of.
Boy, this is where you should start.
That's where we should start.
That's okay. So again, from our homepage, you're just going to click right there on Buying Guide at the top of the screen, and this will help you find the generator that you need. So understanding wattage just talks about what we talked about, the difference between running watts and starting watts, and then determining your needs. We talked about this as well. So you can determine all the devices you need to run simultaneously, record the required running and additional starting watts of all those devices, add them all together, identify the highest watts, and then calculate. And if you click on that See Common Device Wattage, it's going to take you right to that wattage chart that we were looking at.
So we started well because we that equation. So if you're not sure how to calculate or come up with the amount of
we're going right to the guide.
Yeah. You did a great job.
Yeah.
You did a great job. You did a great job.
Both of us did a great job. So this takes you to different generators in wattage ranges. So the hybrid series, 7500 to 9500 watts. Performance series, so you can go all the way up to 9400 starting, or 9400 running watts is now our biggest, and gives you some examples of best sellers in each one of those categories. And then you can shop by activity too.
Which is it's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that we break it down both ways. So if you're one of those people who I would totally skip the top, and I'd be like, all right, here's what I'm going to do.
Right, just make it easy for me.
Here's what I use it for. Tell me what I should buy.
Yeah, so if I click on home projects, it's going to take me right to a lot of the generators that people typically use for home projects.
Yes.
And same with, we have some other categories in here, RV camping or tailgating, tent camping.
Yes.
Tent camper probably needs a whole lot less power, and they might use one of our 1700 watt inverters. Tailgating, we got Tristan here opening a bottle on the bottle opener.
Yeah, and this is actually really great because I am on a ton of camping, in a ton of camping groups, and it's always interesting because you do have really different campers. Like if you are a tent camper, you have a totally different lifestyle and you need certain things versus if you have a motorhome or an RV or a toy hauler, there's very different needs.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Absolutely, yeah. Then some other guides and tips. These are other blogs. You can depend on Firman, general maintenance. There's a lot of information in here. If you haven't taken a look at our blogs, you should. Megan's been doing a great job with this.
And also we actually have a page somewhere in here, and it tells you, it's like common facts
FAQs right there.
So common questions and things that people come to us with. So same concept. We have generator 101 at the bottom, or just regular generator use and maintenance. But these are common questions and things. And as we get more questions, we'll make sure we're answering them and we're putting them on here as well. So
this is a great one. Do you have exhaust extension kits? Can I extend the exhaust by myself? No. There's somebody selling these things out there online, and it is a really bad idea.
Yeah, and I think they push that they're like partnered or something.
Yeah, they use our name. Really irritating. Do not do that.
We like to be as safe as possible.
Yes, absolutely.
Safe as possible, and that's not safe.
But lots and lots of questions, and then if you have a question that you don't see a response to, you can click here and you can talk to us, send us a response, or you can even chat.
Yes, chat now is so easy, and it's quicker than an email, quicker than a phone call even. Like they're back to you in no time, and they'll help you get anything resolved that you need. So
there's Chris online right now.
They even tell you who you're talking to. It's amazing.
We try it.
Sure, let's do it. I'm gonna go find him.
Right, no pressure,
I do
Chris.
love the live chat. It always pops up and I go on our page quite often during the day, and oftentimes.
They might Monday mornings are really busy.
Oh yes, they're actually, the calls are going crazy right now.
Yeah, but there's lots of ways that you can communicate with us through chat, through this request page right here. You can always call us at 844 Firman 1. Of course, that number is right at the top of the screen. Stuck to the top of the screen all the time. So I think we've covered everything.
Yeah.
Feel pretty good. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
We're excited. We have a fun.
Yeah, we have a video Friday.
Friday.
I think we're going to talk about a new product.
A new product. I'm excited.
It's pretty exciting. I mean, this one's groundbreaking.
Groundbreaking.
Like, you guys are going to want to tune in because
Firman is just coming, like...
You're going to be shocked.
Oh.
Yeah.
The things we're coming up with, I'm just so excited.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be great.
All right, thanks everybody. We'll talk to you Friday.